Welcome in everyone to the everydayfan.com podcast. Today we're talking hoops once again, NBA. Is Zion good enough? Will Phoenix take the West? We've got Paul Casanova as our host today. We've got Liam and Lamar. I am Jack Neary, and we will get started. Come on, Paul. Come right at us.
How you doing, everybody?
Nice
to see you guys once again. Last week was fun. That was great to have the guests like that. Hopefully within the next week or so, we can find somebody else to terrorize for the hour that we did. I think he liked it, though. He had a good time. So thanks, everybody, for that one. And we can get right into it tonight. The first thing, as you could probably see, that I want to talk about is my Nuggets. Liam, today, the jersey. Show us all what you got.
What is it?
Today we break out the Jamal Murray jersey.
Oh, you said breaking
I
Jamal
think
Murray.
It's an apt time. Jamal
Don't
Murray just went down with an ACL tear. I'm very upset about it. I love Jamal Murray. Prayers up to you, my friend. We're not really friends, but you know what I mean. And get better soon. See you next year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's start off, though, and say, what's that going to do for Denver? Is that going to hurt Denver's chances in the West? Let's be honest, it wasn't Joker. Thank God. Let's knock on some wood right here, make sure, but he is a vital part of the Nuggets. That duo that we talk about in the NBA all the time, our duos, you got a duo here, a duo there. That's Denver's duo. So taking that little piece out, that does mean something a little bit to them. So what do you think, Liam?
So I don't like doing this, Paul, because I know you're a Nuggets fan, and it's hard. It's hard to find the right way to let it down easy. But basically, the Nuggets are toast. That was it. Second round exit if they're lucky. They might. To me, I think they'll probably end up losing in the first round. What I see is, when you look at the inevitable matchups of where they're going to end up in either the 4, 5, or 6 seed, they're going to be playing a Clippers or a Lakers team in the first round, and without your best playmaker on the perimeter. Now, I say on the perimeter because when Jokic gets a special defensive attention, especially in the playoffs we saw last year against Anthony Davis, in the game that the Nuggets won, Jamal Murray was crucial from the perimeter, and now you don't have that. It puts a lot more pressure on a young Michael Porter Jr., who's unproven in the playoffs, and a Will Barton, who's a good role player, but that's what he is a role player. They're not a starting point guard, and I'm not sure if signing Austin Rivers really doesn't do anything. Jamal Murray, in I think it was 19 career playoff games, is averaging 26 points. He plays way above his level. You saw that epic series with Utah last year and how he performed against Donovan Mitchell, who also performed very well. There's no reason to not suspect that his play would rise again, especially given the matchup, and that's gone now. And I know the Nuggets are deep and they got Aaron Gordon, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do without your starting point guard?
Yeah. Lamar, what do you think?
Yeah, it was a tough loss for the Nuggets. I was watching the game live when it happened, and I was like, oh, that's not good, especially the way he was rolling around on the ground. You knew it was something serious, not just no hyperextended like everybody was hoping it was. So that looked a lot more serious.
Like immediately when he was grabbing that knee.
I was like, oh, man, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it sucks, man. They got to head into the playoffs again with players hurt. I hate that, man. I like to see everybody full strength in the playoffs. That way, there's no excuses. You didn't have this guy, that guy, but
yeah.
Denver got a deep team, but Jamal Murray's lost two. I think it might be difficult to overcome in the playoffs.
Yeah. Jack,
here's the truth. Okay, and listen, the truth does hurt sometimes. Okay, the truth is the Nuggets are Jokic and 7 role players, right? I mean, that's what it is. Liam said it's Barton. Michael Porter. Is he there? Is he ready yet? Austin Rivers. I mean, he's been an all-star, right? It's the truth is it's 7 role players and Jokic, and I mean it's legal up there in Denver, so I'll say it. The Nuggets are smoked. They absolutely are smoked.
But so you guys don't like Monte Morris at all? I mean, he does usually lead the league the last couple of years in turnover assist ratio when he gets his minutes. I'll give you, he gets a little more careless with the ball when he gets more minutes, but still he's up there, and he does have somewhat around 200 games or better, plus the playoffs. And I mean, I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm not high on Monte as about being the starter, because I think he's a great backup point guard. He gives you that time that he needs to come in on the floor. So they will be missing that. But I'm just curious what anybody else thinks who's from the outside of watching the Nuggets like I do. What do you think of Monte Morris?
Will he get the calls in the playoffs? I mean, because that's crucial.
Sure.
Is he going to get those extra bumps, or when he falls to the floor, is he going to get a ridiculous flagrant? Because yes, they get to be silly sometimes, but 1 point, 2 point, an ejection here, an ejection there, they do add up. You know, your LeBron Jameses get those calls. You know, your Durant's get those calls. Your Irvings get those calls. Your Steph Curry's get those calls. And Morris might be a nice player, and maybe he has the same talent that Murray does. But
Yeah.
Murray's run last year got him those calls this year.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's the same talent, but I get what you're saying for sure, because there's probably little chance that if it's a close call either way or something like that, he's going to get it. That's
one-on-one, he might
not
beat
going to
Murray.
get it. You know,
One-on-one, he might beat Murray a couple times, or they go back and forth talent-wise. But I don't know. No, I'm just saying they might.
So that is a tough blow, and I agree with you guys. I guess I have to live in reality that Murray was more than I want to believe. But I also believe that they stacked that team for a reason. And everybody talks about the next man up. They have a few next man to bring up. Also, I don't know how many people know this, but don't sleep on PJ Dozier either. That boy can play some basketball. He just is very raw, very young, and doesn't have time yet. But
South Carolina,
he has the skills, boy. Sometimes he can play. So hopefully he'll turn it up in the playoffs and give him some help. But
I want to make my Monte Morris point, but first, Jack, I'm glad you said South Carolina, because I was going to say South Carolina. They had an awesome run. I want to say it was to the Final Four. It might have been to the Elite Eight. It was him and Sindarius Thornwell.
You got it.
That was an awesome team. All right, but back to my Monte Morris point. So like you said, Paul, he's a great backup point guard. And like Jack, like you said, is he going to get the calls in the playoffs? Is he going to get the defensive attention in the playoffs? Like Jamal Murray is locked in to get defensive attention in the playoffs and make it that much easier on Jokic, or that much easier on Porter Jr., or that much easier on Aaron Gordon. But Monte Morris, while he's a nice, fine player, he doesn't have that respect of a team defense to really be keyed in when he's not asked to play the role that he thrives in, which is backup point guard.
Yeah.
And a big time facilitator, and facilitate before score, I think is Monte's.
And he really hasn't done nothing to dispel that either. So, I mean, when they back off of him and don't give him that respect to make him shoot, like, he hasn't really made anybody pay for that.
Yeah, is Monte Morris going to beat you in a playoff series? I don't think so. I've watched Jamal Murray beat you in a playoff series.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's go to the Suns. Those guys making a believer out of me myself, because I put them in that category of they were as bad as they was. They got Chris Paul. He helps make a team the way that he does. He can bring you guys together, but are they going to be like, they just keep winning and winning and winning? And you can see the other guys around him, though. They're all like playing at another level that they wouldn't be playing at. And so, they probably are for real. What do you think?
So I saw this amazing tweet that said Chris Paul should start his own reality show where he signs a 1-year contract every year with a poverty franchise and brings them back to relevancy, and we can call it Hardwood Nightmares a la Gordon Ramsay. It was one of the greatest comparisons, and it was hilarious, and it's so true. Because Chris Paul, it's like the Midas touch. His counting stats aren't great, really, any year. But like he's taken the Hornets from when they were low to, he rose them up. When he got to the Clippers are still a laughing stock. And then, I mean, I know they had Blake Griffin waiting,
Yeah.
there too, and DeAndre.
No, it's true.
Up, but they rise
Yeah.
up. He goes to Oklahoma City. Look at that. Houston got the 1 seed and pushed Golden State 7 games with a fully healthy team with him on that team. And now look what he's doing with the Suns. The Suns haven't made the playoffs since 2013, and they're the 2 seed pushing the 1 seed. It's crazy. And I don't know what it is, because he's an amazing leader, obviously, and he's an amazing advocate and ambassador for the game of basketball. But I don't know how a guy whose stats don't it's not like LeBron jumping team to team where he's averaging 27, 8, and 8. I don't understand how his impact overcomes an entire conference. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And kudos to him. He should be in the MVP conversation with the worst counting stats an MVP would have ever had.
I can tell you why. I can actually tell you why Chris Paul means so much to a team. When he goes to, it's not about the stats, it's about the moments. So when that team needs a bucket, almost like what Kawhi Leonard did in Toronto when he was fully healthy, what he was doing was he was taking over anywhere from 3 to 5 minute moments of the game. And when it got really big for the other guys around him, he took over just 3 to 5 minutes. Then he got them back involved. The stats don't matter. If 21 points in the first quarter is fantastic, Zach LaVine, what are you going to give me in the fourth when the game's on the line, right? Because if you were to trade those 2 players, Chris Paul would get that Chicago team to the playoffs too. It's just the way he is. He has now instilled confidence in DeAndre Ayton. Okay, He does the exact opposite of what De'Aaron Fox does, which is stat hunt. Right? Marvin Bagley has a fantastic basketball lineage and can jump out of a building, but can't find the ball because Fox is taking 27 shots a game. And yes, by the way, I would trade him because he plays no defense. But Chris Paul does that for everyone. He plays for he sits at the table and makes sure everybody has their food, and then he decides to eat. He's a family guy. Everyone touches the ball. And those teams win championships. Will they? I think they're more of a 4 seed, but my heart is with the Phoenix Suns for sure.
Can they do it, Lamar? Can he take them that way?
They're going to be tough out because it's the behind the scenes stuff with Chris Paul. It's not the stats. It's the behind the scenes stuff. The film watching, making sure the other players are prepared to play, knowing their assignments, getting the players in the sweet spot. That's what it's all about, man. It's all about basketball IQ. You can overcome a lot of stuff if you got a sharp IQ in basketball. That's what Chris Paul does.
And being
with hitting big shots, like Jack said, and so all the behind the scenes stuff that's helping them with the Suns.
And it's that leadership too, because being that veteran that he is, those young guys obviously listen and are buying into everything he's saying to them. And you can see the difference in teams like Orlando or any of those teams, Oklahoma City. All those ones who got young guys, but they don't have that guy like that who's gonna give the respect of those young guys to get in line and do it like you're supposed to. Instead of they play and Jack will run right into this. They play like they're a college team because they don't have that leadership. They don't have that veteran on there that everybody respects. And I think that's what Chris Paul. I mean, you could see those young, like I said, I waited for him to fall. I really did. I'm like standing there, they're going to fall. And those young guys are just playing out of their minds right now. Like they have confidence when they step up, they hit those threes and you're like, well, how is that guy doing that? I mean, and he doesn't flinch. He's like he knows he's making that, and I'm like, okay, there might be something into this team. I mean, they really might be able to sneak it through. And who cares if it's the first year, right? I mean, if you have the talent and you're playing together, what, Liam?
I care that it's the first year, Paul. I do care that it's the first year. That was going to be my next point, because I don't know how many years Chris Paul has left of this. And to think that this year as a first team that they can get through this Western Conference, to me, is wrong. I don't want to say insane, but I'm leaning towards insane.
Okay.
What happens when they win their first round matchup against Portland or Dallas, and then they're playing the Clippers, and yes, Chris Paul is going to, get everyone in their correct offensive sets. But as soon as Kawhi or Paul George locks down on Devin Booker, how do you expect to compete with that? I like Chris Paul can't, make postseason megastars out of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton could get his numbers, but like he can't overtake a game like only Devin Booker can offensively on that team, scoring wise.
I see what you're saying, and I see how that could come into play in the playoffs and stuff. Which again, I guess I failed to realize and take in that effect that the playoffs do have on you. And you're right. All those young guys, even though they're playing out of their minds, the playoffs have a way of putting you back into line somehow.
The big boys are going to show them why they haven't been to the playoffs in Devin Booker's entire tenure. And the big boys are going to show them why Chris Paul is the reason that they're there, because he's a big boy too. But one big boy who isn't as big as the other big boys can't win you the West.
Okay. Now that's the West. Let's go to the East. There's a big game going on right now, the Nets and the Sixers, and everybody built this up as the Nets and the Sixers. Yep, that's your Sixers, that's your Philly. They built this up so big, and I knew inside myself, I was like, there's no way that the players are going to be playing today, everybody, even on both sides or whatever, because it's always when you have two teams that are going to be there in the playoffs, for some reason towards the end of the season, they never want to show each other anything, So I just figured that there would be some people missing so that we didn't see that game that they touted so highly. But what do you think about that game? What do you think about those two? Are these the two in the East?
Yes. Bring it on, Brooklyn. We haven't been able to play a game against them at any full strength or anything even close to what the matchup would look like come playoff time, and I couldn't be more ready. We're going to win this game and have an effective 2-game lead on them after tonight, and I don't see us relinquishing it. They have the 6th hardest schedule going forward. We have the 23rd hardest schedule going forward or something like that. So I think the Sixers end with the 1 seed. The Bucks are going to beat on the Nets in the second round while we're playing. The Hawks are some easy second-round team, and we'll see them come Eastern Conference Finals, and boy, I am ready to lose if they're healthy.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, look it. First of all, the Nets aren't playing anybody, and schedules don't matter anymore. It's like positionless basketball. If you put everybody on paper like we would have tonight, the Nets would have beaten Philly, especially months ago, right? You look at their schedule, you go, man, the Sixers got the Brooklyn Nets, but Brooklyn's not playing anybody. And I'm not going to root for any team, nor should anyone root for any team that doesn't have a tough journey. You need to get into wars before you battle in the playoffs. Okay, we've seen this before. Remember, we just saw this in college, right? Gonzaga didn't have enough good wars, and Baylor did. Philadelphia 76ers put a damn good product out there with Embiid and Simmons and Harris, and they're working hard together, right? They've developed a relationship now, right? They also add Curry. They got some nice guys off the bench. When the Nets start playing together, they're not sure they're all-star players, but they're like showing up to Rucker Park at the wrong times. Okay, and maybe they do take the East and go to the playoffs, but I'm not interested. I'm not interested in Kyrie Irving or James Harden or all-star teams getting together. I want guys to build a team and a relationship organically. Kevin Durant, I was saying earlier, has now more Twitter comments thrown at Shannon Sharp than he does games played this year. And if you're interested in that stat, it's 22 games, by the way. He is the GOAT. Kevin Durant is absolutely the GOAT of being mentally soft. And he could come at my Twitter. I'm at Jack Neary 27, and I'm there all day.
Lamar, is he right?
Yeah, he's right. Durant be on way Twitter too much, man. You got all that time to be scrolling through Twitter and commenting on people. You gotta, every now and then it's okay to comment, but dang, you be commenting on everything. As far as the Nets go, they gotta start playing together. They just gonna get in the playoffs and just plug it in, and it don't work like that. You got all that talent, but But also, I think they can use it as an excuse too if they lose. Oh, they played this much time together like they did the Clippers last year. But
Yeah.
don't give me that BS. I don't want to hear that. Y'all put a team together to win a championship. Y'all better go win, or it should be a lot of trash talk towards them if they don't win it.
I'm glad you said that though, for reals, because that was the other thing I was going to say is just exactly that. How do you get these? I get it. They're all three great players for sure. And if they're all together and playing all year, man, they could probably dominate like you never seen. But they haven't. And like Lamar just said, how do you plug that in the playoffs and say, now go, turn it on, make it happen? Because wasn't that even LeBron's criticism sometimes that his teams are waiting for the playoffs to turn it on back when he had those super and then they lose too, like Miami, So plugging it in and thinking you're just going to win a championship to me is right. And my last thing on that though is don't count out the Bucks. Everybody keeps counting out the Bucks. They ain't even in the conversation, but yet they've gotten that far 2 years in a row. History tells us the next evolutionary step for them is to get to the championship. So to me, they're going to be a thorn in somebody's side though. And somebody's going to have to get through them. And that's going to be the person who's going to be that tough row, battle tested.
Let me ask this real quick. Do you care about so much like do you care more about the hardware or the story upon where the hardware was gained? And my question is, like, people get credit, for the rings. Oh, he's got a ring, he's got a ring, he's got a ring. Or should you get more credit for the story that's behind the ring? Kevin Durant has a ring in Golden State, great. And he might get a ring this year and Brooklyn wins it. I just don't care. I don't care. Your rings to me were not battle tested. They weren't. If you won one in OKC, I'll tell you what, man. That's fantastic. You and Russ did it, and you worked really hard. But I'm more of a Russell Westbrook mentality. Why am I going to join somebody? I'm still a really good basketball player. Or Chris Paul. Yeah, I'll go teach a young team. Why am I going to join all these guys?
Mm-hmm. Did you guys see Reggie Miller's remark, by the way, about joining Jordan? He said Jordan would have called him and asked him to join him. He would have told him to go fuck himself. I mean, that was the great mentality those guys had, and they would have never gotten together like that because they wanted to beat each other, not just win and put a ring on their fingers. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch them for sure. I would hope that at least in the last, what do we got? 18 games, 17 games, something like that left over, that they try to at least get together, try to form their team so we can at least see or whatever. But until then, I can't give them the nod coming out of the East. I just can't. But so that's the Nets. Looks like we got KD, we got the buyout. How about the buyout, everybody? We have we have what they call the trade. We have a trade deadline. We have all these rules and regulations, and all of a sudden, you can just drop a guy off or pay or buy him out, and then he's free to go sign with anybody right before the playoffs come. I mean, is that good for the league? Is that a good thing that's going on? Lamar, I know you have to have something on that, right?
Yeah, everybody got a problem with it because everybody was going to the Lakers or Brooklyn. That's the only reason why it was a problem. Everybody buying out, or Lakers and Brooklyn. So
yeah, if they're going to your team, it's fine, right?
Yeah, why would you buy out and go to Oklahoma City?
No,
I mean, of course you're gonna go to a team that got a shot to win. It is what it is to me. I mean,
so you think it's okay though for the league? It's good. It makes those ones that are in the lead, like you said, they're going to go to those teams, so it just makes them better.
What else are they gonna do? So they're going to not let people buy out no more, or they're going it's probably what they're gonna have to do, because if they keep buying out, they're gonna keep going to those teams.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack. I know you.
Yeah, Lamar's absolutely right. The older players are buying out. The ones that were A pluses at one time, and now they're C pluses or B minuses. Right? Your Aldridges, your Blake Griffins. Listen, I get it. It's happened. Gary Payton and Karl Malone did it way over past the hill, to try and get themselves a ring. But like, look, you don't want to watch the Nets play the Timberwolves, and let's not pretend you want to watch the Lakers play the Thunder, or I know they're a nice and upcoming team, but the fact of the matter is the Pelicans are just still a college basketball team. So are the Kings. So are the Spurs. So are the Pistons. We're splitting the NBA into two teams because of this buyout. Right? You have professional ball clubs who are going to get calls, based on their talent, exponentially. And, Aldridge and Griffin still have that name on the back of their jersey. So come playoff time, they'll get some calls. Don't tell me they're not going to be worth 15 and 10. Right? And you're really splitting the league up. That's what's happening here. And I don't know whether we have to add another year to college or figure out a developmental league. I know we're talking about play-in games now. Isn't the whole play-in the regular season?
Yeah.
No, but it
Right.
is. Like, why are we're playing for 7th, 8th, and 9th place? Yeah, we did that.
Yeah. 10th. I think you should get in with 10 to the play-in game. So, Liam, what do you think?
I don't think you should sign a contract if you're not willing to adhere to the demands of the contract, and that includes being traded, and that includes length and sufficient play. And to the Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge point, and maybe the Andre Drummond point, it's just like, where do you want to it's like where you want your career to be when like you look at your Wikipedia page and if let's just say the Lakers win the title again this year, and Andre Drummond is a one-time NBA champion. And Jack, just going back to the last thing that we were saying in the last segment, it's like about the story. People who indulge in sports and people who remember these things, like when you don't just say Jordan's 6-0 without providing context. You don't talk about Tom Brady being 7-3 without providing context. And Andre Drummond can't, you can see on Wikipedia he's a one-time champion. Yeah, but how did he get there? He joined the Lakers with 28 games left in a COVID postseason where we only played 72 games and a bunch of people are injured. Or if the Nets win, and
half the league is
for Aldridge or Blake Griffin, who were once great players, like you said, but now they're just picking up the pieces to try and get a championship. It only could benefit James Harden truly the most because he's the great without the title. But then again, if you provide context, the dude freaking showed up fat and out of shape to Houston, quit on his team, and then ended up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. There needs to be context on these situations.
That's his story.
Yeah, exactly. When in the historical context of everything, like that has to be provided. The buyout market is terrible for ensuring parity and rightful ownership to your contract. You sign that thing, you're making millions of dollars, money that I would like to have. I mean, please. I will do anything. I will play in Salt Lake City, Utah. I will scrub toilets in Salt Lake City, Utah for that money. I will do whatever you say.
No, don't do that. You don't want to go there.
You want to leave Detroit, Blake Griffin? You want to leave Detroit? Come on.
Not whatever, though. You want to. The line's got to be at toilets.
Give us a comment on what you want Liam to do for how much money, Liam?
I told you that. I told you didn't want to do that. You're gonna be in the comments.
Give me any sort of contract. I'll do it for the 100,000. These guys are making millions.
I'm gonna write you up some weird contracts next week for Jersey.
Please.
I don't think you want it.
I want it. If it's good money, I want it.
You hear that, YouTube? He wants it.
Give him what he wants, everybody.
Bring it on.
What's your Twitter handle, Liam, so they know how to get you, man? What's your Twitter handle, Liam?
At Liam_SAGZ.
There you go. Hit him up. Tell him what you want him to do.
Oh God, Liam - he wants it.
Good. All right. Well, guys, this was fun once again. Had a great time talking NBA with you guys again. We're getting close to the playoffs. Like we said, we only got like 17 games, 18 games left. So starting to get nitty gritty. I have a feeling we're going to start seeing a lot much better basketball coming up. And so the game should be fun. We'll save the play-in for another time because that's coming up. So we really want to delve into that and talk more about how good or bad that is for the league to be able to skate your way to number 10 and still be able to find a way in. So we'll save that for another time. Again, I appreciate everybody coming on. Liam, Lamar, Jack, you guys are the best. And thanks for coming, everybody. Check out theeverydayfan.com. We got a lot for you. We got a lot of great content. We got great memorabilia, and we are soon to have the draft guide. So check us out, and check us out next week as well. Thanks, everybody.
Hopping on your pod on Saturday. Peace.
I'll see you guys later. Enjoy your night.